Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is all about oil pastels. What materials do you need? Where can you start? We'll talk about how to blend, different techniques you can use. So let's begin. Of course, we need some kind of surface first. You can use canvas. You can use canvas board. Or in my case, I usually use paper. You want to make sure it's heavy and it has a slight texture. The more texture you have, sometimes it's not as easy to create an even coverage, but you can use additional tools to help you with that. I'm using mixed media paper for this exercise, and mine is just from Canson. It has slight texture on it, so it will grip the pastel easier. If it's slick like Bristol, the pastel kind of glides more and it's hard to create an even surface. You need a paper towel. I like this heavy duty thick one, but you can use any. And I use this for kind of just wiping off my pastels because they get dirty and you kind of blend with the pastels themselves. So you want to make sure you don't contaminate the color if you don't want to. And of course, you want pastels themselves. I have a few kinds to show you. I usually like to use kind of a harder oil pastels to create the first layer and then go on top with softer pastels. Van Gogh is a really good choice for the harder pastels. Let me show you the difference between what that means. So if I have, let's see, this harder pastel, it's not that easy to kind of shove it inside the paper so you can see the white of the paper shining through. But if I use a softer pastel, for example from Sennelier, it glides a lot easier, and I'm using the same amount of force to put the pigment on, but see how much more coverage we got? It's just because it's a lot softer. It's like lipstick, it glides off easier. And this guy, you can see it's just not as creamy, and you can even see more shine in the softer pastel. This guy over here, very inexpensive and affordable, from Pastels, is an excellent choice for beginners. It is on a softer side of pastels. It's not as soft as Sennelier, but it's not as hard as the Van Gogh. And just to show you something fun from Sennelier, it's not all the colors that they have that come in this size, but some of the colors come on this ginormous size, so if you use this on canvas, these are more convenient. So this is all the things that you need to start working with oil pastels. And the rest of the items that I'm going to show you before we're going to go over the techniques is more of an additional items that you may want to get if you like the medium. So of course everybody has this probably, or you can find it online. I'll show you how to use this a little bit later. So color wheel. My favorite tool for blending, besides my fingers, are blending stumps. And as you can see, I organize. I don't want to clean the same one over and over again because, you know, they lose their point and stuff. So I keep each color on a separate stick basically, so it's easier to use for me. And sometimes it depends on the painting, I'll go and clean them all out and start over. The best cleaning tool for these guys is sanded paper. Just got a new piece. Mine's getting a little worn out. But all you do, basically, you just do this. And you just get this color off. Then we have this guy. You can use this or any other sharp tool to use as sgraffito tool to just kind of do this, and I'll also show you a little bit later how to use this. You can also use this as a palette knife and do something like this. So if you have some colors going on over here, you can create some interesting effects with this guy, and you can kind of smudge this thing out and do all sorts of things. This one is a fun tool with oil pastels. And one other set of items that you can have for blending: a nice stiff brush, and any kind of oil medium basically would work. I prefer Gamsol. It's an odorless mineral spirit. I put them in, this is what mine comes as, in this large jug, and I put them in a smaller container because when I'm working with this, I still want to make sure I don't get a lot of that in my lungs basically. And this one is also very easy to use. So basically, you want to put your color on. Let's say I'm working on the first layer or an underpainting, and I can easily come in and use this as just a paint and spread it all out the way that I want to, or blend other colors right here on the paper as well. And your pastel becomes more like paint at this point. I prefer to use Gamsol because it doesn't leave this oily spots on your paper. If you use this on the canvas, you can use something like linseed oil, or like I said, any kind of mediums that are suitable for oils. We talked about the tools. Now let's see how we can blend these guys. So for example, if I'm working, you don't want to damage the paper when you're putting on your color. So don't apply too much pressure, because you can always go over and over again, and maybe with different colors and create different shades. That would create more interesting picture, rather than just flattening this out and it's going to be just this one color. So let's say I want to lighten this color. It's easier for me to go light on top, and this will create a beautiful blend right away with this other pastel basically, than to try to do the opposite. It doesn't have to be the white, but let's say it was the white and I came in with the red on top. See how it's just not creating the same easy blend. How do we blend two colors together? So for example, let's take the yellow and blue. And this one we're expecting it will create this new color actually in between. So let's say we have the blue, then goes create those crumbles because they're drier. But you can always either put them on your surface where it needs to be, or just scrape them away. So I can just kind of gradually go back and forth and create a smooth blend between the colors. Let's try Sennelier with the blue and the green, something simple. Just want to show you something really quick here. You can use your fingers to help blending. And the softer the pastels, the easier they are going to blend. And you can always add more intensity. Since your paper is not damaged and it still has the tooth, it's going to grab onto the pigment So what about this? I mean, it's kind of a green, but it's all patchy. We can help this. For example, if you don't want to use your finger, you can definitely use a blending stump. And this one is also, you don't really need anything with this, just the blending stump itself. It will kind of smudge the color and push it more into the paper. However, you're risking losing the tooth on the paper because this will just smooth this out. And then you have those things. I like to pick them up and spread them out somewhere. Just for fun. The color wheel, what if you're working on a red apple? And this is my primary color. I want the opposite to tone that down. So instead of using the black, for example, or dark gray, you can just use this opposite color to create the shadow for the red. Let me show you what I mean. So let's say I have a red apple. I'm gonna add the black on one side and the green on the other so you can see the difference. So it's going to be dark, right? So instead, I can add some green. And because it's an opposite color, see how it's just not as stark as the other one, but it's pretty much accomplishing similar things. And of course, you would go in and blend this. I like this better. What if I do need to mix, let's say, yellow and purple? How do I put them next to each other? I'll show you. If you put this and this guy together, it's going to become brown. So in order for this to work, you need to put another color in between, and that would be some kind of this color. So let me show you what I mean. So I have a yellow. I hope it's dark enough. This guy would become brown if I mix them together. So for this not to stand out, you need something maybe lighter, an orangey color. Let's try this. So maybe I have something like this in between. And I'm going to use my blending stump to kind of help me. So instead of creating kind of a mud in between, we just made a transition into another color. Just remember that you need to put the middle one in between in your color wheel. So if it's, I don't know, this guy over here, and I'm mixing it with this guy on the opposite side, then I'm going yellowish greenish. So you've seen here, this is primarily how I put the pastels on, is I just use either larger or smaller strokes and then I go blend. Sometimes people do this. Or this. Although you need a softer pastel to kind of stipple. And you can even blend this into a different color with the same technique. Like I'm gonna get violet over here just because I'm overlaying next to each other. One more fun technique. For this one, you need to use a harder pastel first and then a softer on top of that. And you want to use lighter color underneath. So, for example, if I'm working on a leaf or grass or whatever that you're trying to pull the underneath color on top, so you would have, this one's a little bit more yellow than I expected, but you have this lighter color underneath, and then I would come in with the darker color from the soft pastel, not the soft, but the soft oil pastel. And I put this color on top. I'm not trying to blend it into another one, I'm just trying to put kind of an even layer. And then I can come in with some kind of a tool. It just needs to be something sharp, basically. And I can remove some parts of this darker color and reveal the color underneath. And some colors will work better than others. So let's try the blue. And a darker blue on top. Maybe I'm doing something like this. And then the bottom color shows through. So this one's fun. So what happens if I made a mistake? So let's say I have some color over here, and I don't know, somehow I'm trying to see if I have like little speckles of something somewhere. Let's see, something dropped over here and whoops, it got smudged. So instead of trying to put the same color on top, or maybe you have multiple colors already going on here, you would need to scrape this off and put the other colors on the surface that doesn't have this contamination, basically, to fix it. This one you can just probably go over with the blend and Stump and no problem. When we're working on the smaller size, and like look at the size of the pastel, you can't really do really nice fine details. However, these guys are oil pastels. We do have colored pencils that are oil based or wax based. They work really well. They have similar finish, they're kind of slightly shiny, so they blend together really nicely. And you can use those to put in more details for like eyes if you're working on the portraits, or hair or something like that, whiskers. One more fun tool to add is the charcoal pencil. Because it's soft, it will glide nicely on top, and it is going on dark. So really fun medium. It blends easily together. You can cover lots of surface very easily. Also, you can use other mediums with this. They work really well on top of watercolor, on top of acrylics, on top of gouache. Basically, you can create the underpainting or a background with the different color and then add pastels on top of that. And then you can add the details with your colored pencils or maybe a charcoal pencil. If you're working on a darker surface, you can use the white charcoal pencil. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, love to all, and have a great day.